All right, you ready for this thing?
I'm ready.
We are recording and we're going. So let's just jump into it. Real happy you're here. This is another in-person interview, and for those of you who are listening, this is Dylan Stump. We're very excited to have him here. He works with me at the company that I'm at, and he's a real go-getter type of person, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have him on this podcast. So thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Happy to be here. I appreciate you pulling me in on your venture here and taking notice of all the people you're bringing to the show. This is awesome.
No, it's definitely exciting, and like the main purpose of the podcast, I just like talking to people, and you're someone who I talk to way too much at work, so I figured why not do a podcast? And one of the best ways that I think we could do it is let's kick it off with an icebreaker. I like the icebreakers to be kind of weird and out there.
Okay.
So with that said, here it is. You've received news that Bigfoot is real. There is $1 million reward on the line. What do you do to catch him?
Oh boy. Wow. $1 million for something I've never seen. But then he is real. I think I'm getting a helicopter.
Get a helicopter, dude.
Somehow, some way, whether it's Flight for Life or the military helicopter. I think that's the only way to do it.
I mean, think about it. You can invest 100,000 in searching for Bigfoot, and then if you find him, you get $1 million. Hey, that's a 9x return.
Boom. True that. Buy low, sell high. No, that's not the word. Investing.
Hey, there you go. Boom. You
Leverage.
Got Bigfoot.
Yep. I like that. Thermal cameras, something like that.
That's probably all you need, really. Just get a drone. Hire a drone, you're good to go.
Oh man, I'm trying to think of like what would be like Bigfoot's mating call. Is there a female Bigfoot?
I think so. Yeah, it's he's got a Tinder profile, I think.
Okay, yeah. So I just got to read up on that, then hop in the helicopter.
There you go.
Just shout from the rooftops.
Yeah, sugar daddy Bigfoot a little bit.
We'll split the reward.
Well, right on. Thanks for bearing with me during that. But let's dive into your background a little bit. Where'd you grow up? Let's start there.
Parker, Colorado. It used to be nothing, and now it is hustling and bustling.
When you were growing up, what was like the go-to thing to do on the weekends?
Well, growing up, I mean, anything and everything outside, until video games came around, obviously, but it really depended on the season. Winter, I was a big snowboarder. Summer, I loved to skateboard, picked up scootering, and then just tinkering too. Just really all kind of depended on the weather. And then obviously once video games came around, that consumed a lot of my waking child hours.
That's kind of how I was too with my brother. It was like we would always make videos of us like skateboarding. Is great. You'd like see the camera panning at us, and then it would go away. We'd fall, pretend to fall, and then like spray ketchup on our hands.
Oh my
and then bring the camera back. Just the best type of videos there. But as soon as video games came back and Halo 3 Xbox, is game over. I was done.
Oh yeah. 1, 2, and 3, man. Those were the best.
Like skateboarding, throw that out the window. Let's grab a bag of Cheetos and go hit the couch.
Exactly.
Well, right on. How did your parents describe you growing up?
Yeah, class clown, really. Kind of always doing something and always trying to make people laugh. So, it's interesting. They describe me in a lot of ways, but quiet and boring was not one of them.
Well,
so
right on.
Yeah.
I mean,
always just doing something.
Yeah. And that's one thing that I've noticed about you too, is like, especially with you, and we'll go into it a little bit as we talk more about like DIY and stuff, but you've always got your hand in something, and it's just kind of cool to see. So I can totally see you being like that as a kid. And I did a little research on you before we had this podcast, so had to get deep in the details here.
Oh boy.
But I saw on your Instagram account, there's a picture of you in a hospital bed in 2015. You broke your arm and you're like, I don't know how I did this. I don't even remember the day. That's what the caption said.
Yeah.
But what'd you do? What'd you break your arm?
It's not well. So when I was trying out for the Marines, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say what? It's like, where did this come from?
No. So long story long. When I was a kid, going back to tinkering and stuff, I loved thinking about the way that things worked, and that included engines, and that really was like small engines. I loved small engines. So GoPeds, you know what a GoPed is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, little scooter, tiny engine, size of your hand. I always wanted one as a kid. Never had one. Didn't even know where you would get one. Well, come high school graduation, I had my graduation money. I had access to the free world. No more high school, no more parents. So that was the first thing I bought was a GoPed. And it was a racing GoPed, 50 cc's. It was cooking. Very terrifying. But in between my senior year of high school, freshman year of college, I decided to get a backpack, put a Gatorade bottle full of gasoline in my backpack. And
that alone sounds dangerous. Right
in hindsight, there's a whole lot wrong with that situation. I'm lucky to have only broken my arm in this and not exploded or end up on a no-fly list. But anyways, I decided to go on a tour around a mall, around the outskirts of this mall, ripping it, probably doing 30 miles an hour. And I looked to my right, there's a main road. Looked to my left, there's this deserted field with a whole bunch of prairie dog holes. And I was like, oh, wow, that'd be really unfortunate if one just booked it in front of me across the sidewalk. And sure enough, one did. And in my head, I'm thinking, I don't want to run over a prairie dog. This would suck. Also, the tires on a GoPed are about, I don't know, like 4 inches.
Yeah.
And a prairie dog's about 4 inches. So it's a lose. So I ditched the GoPed at 30 miles an hour and just tumbled. Went to go stand back up, and like my wrist just wasn't there to support me.
Straight up just did a tuck and roll.
Yeah.
Like a Mission Impossible Tom Cruise jumping out of the car.
I wish it were that cool. I wish. So, I'm sitting there. My mom's somewhere on some lake because it was near 4th of July, no service. So I called 911 and they came and picked me up, and they were loading me on the ambulance. They're like, I was telling them the story, and they're like, I don't know if this was you, but there's a dead prairie dog in the gutter. I was like, try to save its life, break my wrist, still hit it.
And it's dead.
It's dead. So all that for a broken wrist. Yeah.
Not a broken wrist and a good story.
And a good story. Yeah. I mean, wow. No, I don't think anyone else has a story like that.
What'd you end up doing with that bottle of gasoline?
Oh, I hope I disposed of it properly. I have no idea. And actually, funnily enough, I'm a big G-Shock guy. I love G-Shock watches. Was wearing one that day, and it broke off my wrist. It didn't break my wrist. It broke, and I still have it. I got it pieced back together, and you can see the scratches and everything on it. It's a little memento from that day.
Those things don't break.
No, they don't.
If you get a real one, my brother, he served the mission for our church in New York, and he'd always send us fake ones.
Oh my gosh.
You get them on the street and he'd send us fake ones. They'd last like a good month or so.
Yeah.
I always felt so cool like wearing that when I was like 6th grade.
Oh yeah. I mean, I could be a testimonial to those things.
There you go.
It was just scratched up and the wristbands popped off. And I just went and put them back on.
Hey,
it's disgusting. Yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad your arm's healed. Sorry about the prairie dog. May he rest in peace. But here's another thing that I want to ask you. So derailing from this a little bit, but I want to know about one of the most influential people in your life and one of the ways that they impacted you. So maybe go into that a little bit.
So this has always been kind of tough. Most people would say their parents, I feel, or a lot of people would say their parents.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the best relationship with my mom and dad. And my sisters also were 8 years older than me. So there was a whole lot of loose connections there.
Were you the baby of the family?
I am the baby. I am the young blood.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's great. It's best people, best children. But So oddly enough, this is gonna sound cheesy, but my wife is really influential to me. We balanced each other out a lot early on, and now she's just absolutely crushing it at work. She is an incredibly hard worker, probably the hardest worker I've ever met, and she just powers through. And then also, she's semi in the customer service arena, and when she's handling, quote unquote customers and they're just chewing her down, she is so level headed, just does not let it get to her.
That's amazing.
And doesn't wear her emotions on her sleeve. It's incredible. So she embodies a lot of things that I try to be every day. We're kind of flipped. She's the breadwinner. So while that is the case, I want to make sure that, she has no stress when she comes home. I'm the homemaker. I'm like a stay-at-home dog dad. And so I make sure that she's got everything she needs coming home. I just try and make the best life for her because I love to see her glow. It's crazy. But yeah, she gets knocked down 10 times and stands up 11. She is truly getting after it.
That's amazing. And
yeah,
I think oftentimes, like, when asked a question like that, people are always like, oh, it's my grandpa, it's my dad, it's this guy that I met at work, he's my first mentor. But the fact that you found that with your wife, I think is huge.
Yeah.
And as like a single guy, ladies, I'm looking for some love.
Shameless love plug.
But like, as I try and like think about that for my future, that's someone that I want, is like exactly that, someone who's there to support me and
be
there. But that's really cool. And like, you've shared some stories about your wife and like her group of friends that they get together and they literally they embody the getting after mindset and they just go try stuff. What is it? What do they call it again?
Like a yes year group.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, my wife, me having that affiliate membership through her, ipso facto, I've been pulled into the yes year group as well. And so that's been a wild ride too. Actually, this weekend, I just got on a horse for the first time since I was wee. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen Yellowstone, but people call me Jimmy.
Yellowstone. No, and for everyone listening, the Yes Group, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but someone comes up with an idea and they're like, what do you guys think? And everyone just says, yeah, let's go try it. So someone could be like, hey, what do you guys think about skydiving? And if everyone's like, yeah, we're on board, they go and do it. And that's just getting after a mindset.
Yeah.
So obviously your wife has that.
Yeah. Awesome. I mean, we just got, and the best part is this keeps us busy every day. We have something going on and it is exhausting, but it's worth it. We're not tired and dragging our feet to work. We're like excited for work to be over for whatever it is we're doing tonight. So yeah, we just got, so we're starting to book out into winter now and we're talking about curling. Going on curling dates, bobsledding, obviously tubing, skiing, snowboarding, but it is just go, go, go. But it's checking a list. It's incredible.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. Way cool. Thanks for sharing all that.
Yeah.
And I think if you're out there and you're looking for, someone to be there and support you, you don't have to make it anything crazy. Just find someone who's got your same values and your same belief systems and they'll come along and they'll impact you in their own ways. But one thing that I really have noticed about you that was one of actually the reasons I started this podcast is because I saw in you a passion for do-it-yourself projects and things like that. And I just thought it was so cool. And at the time, you'd show me something and I'd be like, here's this guy, he's coming to me at work. And I've referenced you a few times as the woodworking guy or the guy who makes projects on the podcast, but you'll show me everything and explain it to me in such detail and everything that's gone into it, you put into time and effort. I saw that passion in you. And then you had this idea for actually, let's take a step back before we go to that. So where did your love for do it yourself come from? Is it from a kid? Like, where did it start?
That's a great question. So a lot of times I, introspectively look back at my childhood and think, where did it come also? I didn't do much, outside of normal boy tinkering with Legos, Lincoln Logs, Connects. There were a couple times it's like, I want to see what's inside that old TV. I want to see what's inside that old computer monitor. And I take a hammer to it. So destructive.
As every good kid does.
Yeah, very destructive. But also, I was like, wow, circuitry. And then I would take things apart with screwdrivers, but I'd have no what next? I just want to see what's inside. There were a couple of times I built a massive skateboard with wood and put, trucks on the wheels. So nothing crazy, but it all kind of really kicked off when I bought one of my first cars in college. It was a 92 Toyota 4Runner. College budget. It was very low price, but it had 300,000 miles on it. So I knew I was going to be getting into a clunker. I might as well try and save some more money and work on it myself. So I made my first trip ever to go buy some tools at Sears, which I don't think exists anymore. I loaded up, and sure enough, I had plethora of problems with the car, but I enjoyed every minute of it. There was just a light bulb that clicked for me one day, and it was like, I can work on the car and I can get as far as I possibly can. And if I can't finish, then at least I've done most of the labor cost, and then I can have it towed to a mechanic, which, bless my grandmother, always had a AAA membership for us every Christmas. And that I've overused that thing. But it was just a why not? And it was also, some of the biggest fears for humans is death, divorce, and, going broke.
Yeah.
And by working on the car, traditionally, I'm not going to die. I'm not going to get divorced, and I'm not going to go broke. So it was a why not?
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so ever since then, that was probably 7 or 8 years ago. And ever since then, I've just really found a passion for, doing things myself. I do love supporting local businesses and all the trades out there, but also, God bless the internet, because if it weren't for that, I would have no idea how to do anything.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the messages I preach too, is there's so many resources out there that if you want to start something, you easily can.
Right.
And you're the sole, I don't know, the embodiment of that.
Right.
Obviously, you started with your car. You're like, let's see where I can go with this. If it fails, then I'm going to use grandma's AAA service to get it towed. But
yeah,
I mean, that's it. You want to start something and you're interested in it, just go figure it out. There's resources out there. You don't have to, resort to going to school and learning all this stuff. Although school is very important. I'm not saying that.
Sure. Totally.
But there's so many things out there that you could use to better yourself. And it doesn't have to be anything rigid like a schooling system.
I think another thing that I really love about DIY is this community. There's literally a DIY cult, community, and it's a lot of fun. And that's, the beauty of the internet, again, is someone does one thing and then they publish it on the internet for everyone else to do it and try it. And they can monetize it or not too, which is awesome.
And I think that's so cool. Find your community of who you resonate with and just stick with them. I'm the same way with exercise and fitness.
Yeah.
I can talk to my brother about macros, and if you don't know what a macro is, it's a macronutrient, protein, carbs, and fats, and all this stuff that's to some people could be completely not interesting, but my brother and I, we can talk about it for hours. And it's there's people who have passions that you do too. You just got to find them, and then they can help you.
Yeah.
You can help them. It's I scratch your back, you scratch mine. So that's awesome that you found this community. I think it's one that I think is underutilized in America, because
for sure
people are just kind of hey, I'll DoorDash my dinner tonight. I don't need to get things. Everyone wants things right away, but DIY, you got to learn, you got to put in the work, you got to put in the effort. And if you break it, then that's all on you. And it's extreme ownership too. So
yeah, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on. How much time do we have?
Yeah, let's talk about Hammer Brilliance. And to preface this thing a little bit, it's not a thing, it's a brand. But Hammer Brilliance, when I first started at the company that I worked for, Dylan sat next to me and he was just talking to me a little bit about some of his past, the work that he's done. He's like, oh yeah, I used to freelance. I got into design a little bit. And he was showing me some designs that he made. And one of them was a light bulb with a hammer on the inside as like the, yeah, if you're watching this, check it out. Look, there it is. Plug. But it's a light bulb with a hammer on the inside. And he goes, this is something came up with Hammer Brilliance, didn't really take it anywhere. And all I said to him was, you should. And from there, he's like taking it all next level. And let's hear a little bit about this thing.
Yeah.
I know I kind of just went into where it started, but maybe you have more context on that. So
yeah, so more to the DIY. I was really, I wouldn't say good at, but I understood how to work Illustrator and Photoshop and doing logos. Super simple.
And did you learn that from YouTube or what?
Well, so no, I took a couple classes in high school, literally 2 classes, but to expand on those skills, absolutely. YouTube videos, tutorials. It's endless information on there with Illustrator. But just for fun, I got a random word generator on the internet, had it generate 2 words. And I just kept, just to challenge myself, I just kept hitting the button until 2 words came up. It sounded like it could be a company. And when Hammer Brilliance came up, I was like, great, let me jot down all the words that, or not words, but let me try all the sketches of a hammer, try all the sketches of brilliance, and then try and marry the 2 together. And that's where I came up with the light bulb with the hammer. Now, this was in 2015, 2016. I just did it for fun. And this year, I had the logo, and I have this love for DIY. Well, Hammer Brilliance, I mean, you can pivot that right to DIY, no problem. So yeah, you're speaking with a CEO and founder of Hammer Brilliance here. Not entirely sure what it is yet, but I know it's going to be a brand focused around the DIY community. So yeah, really, really happy to get it going. I'm pulling more on the side of I can't stop creating logos for hats and merchandise. And my wife's like, well, we need to slow down. You can't just sell it to nobody. So yeah, that's Hammer Brilliance in a nutshell.
Well, I love it. And I think, like we were just talking about, there's obviously a community out there that would rep the hats. I think your hat is legit and he's wearing it in this, if you could see it. I would rep that, but that's something that most people don't do. They'll come up with an idea, right? They'll get this great idea. So say you have the logo and you have the idea of Hammer Brilliance. You're like, I could make a apparel company like that. And I think that's where most people stop, is they either don't know what next steps to take, or they get afraid that, once money gets involved and you have to invest and actually have you have not liabilities, but you have
risk,
responsibilities. There's risk. Exactly. And with that all said, how did you take that first initial step, or what did you do to take that first initial step to get samples made, or to just keep moving forward with the idea?
So, you,
I don't know.
when I was,
say that.
we were just working next to each other one day, and I was like, Brett, I gotta show you these logos I made a long time ago. And he said, dude, those are awesome. You should do something with that. And that's when light bulb went off in my head. So, I do credit a lot of the runway takeoff to you, just giving me that push.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, just jumping in the pool and getting really comfortable and peeing in it. And then yeah, after that, there's a lot of voices in my head that were just saying, do it yourself. What's the worst that could happen? And you'll never know if you don't try. So getting the samples was just really exciting to me. It's always been my dream to own a business or be the founder or CEO of something. I just didn't know it was going to be this. And so once I started talking to manufacturers in China, I just really I get goosebumps. So it's just kind of compounding. I'm communicating with them every day, and all I'm working at is like getting 3 samples. And it's so small, but so huge that it excites me. And this, starting a business kind of all ties back into the do-it-yourself mentality of try it. You don't know. You assume that you can't change the engine oil on your car because it's daunting or maybe expensive, or you don't want to ruin something. Same thing with starting a business. You don't want to start a business because it's daunting. It may not take off, but you just have to try. And if it fails, then at least you've learned something. But you didn't die, you didn't get divorced, and you're not broke. Well, you could go broke starting a business, but time is money, and you're just going to learn more to be more efficient the next time, yada, yada, yada. I mean, like starting a podcast, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of the same steps, and you just have to overcome that fear. Because in my opinion, it's scarier to be on your deathbed and then have that thought of, I had this idea when I was 24 to start Hammer Brilliance or to start a podcast.
Right.
And I just didn't do it.
Don't want to miss that opportunity.
Can't. My dad, he always says, the world is your oyster. I don't understand what that means. But I'm like, Dad, what does that even mean? And he goes, you can do whatever you want. And I believe that.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's limitations to that. But if there's something that like you have a passion in, and you start like Dylan and you just DIY's your hobby, and then all of a sudden you come up with this logo later on because you're trying to refine your skills and get better, and then a logo pops up, and then your brain starts firing. Let's start a business. Let's go after these things. If Dylan was to stop there, it would just be another file in his computer. But he took action. He's still taking action. You're still working with just like manufacturers, right? And all that stuff, and figuring out what's the best model to take to market. But you just got to take that first initial step, no matter how scary it could be. For me, it was the judgment of other people.
Right.
I just had to get over that. And as soon as I did, who cares what happens? Because I'm having fun doing what I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
I'm talking to people I like, and I'm trying to. You say you credit your business partly to me, but that is a message I want to get out to people. Is if you do have something you're passionate about, go for it.
Right.
You should just do it. So, no, I appreciate you sharing that. And I know you said at the beginning of this, it's a DIY brand. You don't really know where to take it, but do you have future plans for Hammer Brilliance? Do you want to be specialized in apparel, or what are your long-term goals?
I think one of the problems of DIY, and maybe just the dirty workforce in general, is clothing options. So I am always wearing clothes. I don't pick my nicest clothes, but I do pick clothes when I'm doing projects that involve painting, just getting dirty. And I always stay in these clothes and can never wear them again. So I do have some ideas for affordable stain resistant clothing, or affordable, clothing that is stain friendly, stain inviting. I am not really sure what it will be yet or how to do that, but that's kind of an idea of mine. And then I'm trying to find a balance between, do I want to be the chief design officer or what? Because I really like making logos. So I have no idea. But something will hit me. Maybe doing something similar to the 80/80 brand, where, every apparel or accessory purchase gets you X amount of tickets into a tool sweepstakes where you get a whole bunch of tools. I don't know. I'm not sure, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Is I also am not on a time crunch. I have no deadline for deciding this. So I've got everywhere and nowhere to go at the same time. So it's a really good feeling.
Yeah, I love that. And it's something that shouldn't be, scary at all. It's exactly what you said. It's just brick by brick, you'll figure it out as you go along.
Yeah, it's a passion project.
It's a passion project. You'll make pivots. You'll figure out things that you don't like about the brand. You'll change it up. And that's, in my opinion, the beauty of starting something like this. Like with the podcast, I don't have the best setup. There's people who invest millions of dollars into their own. Maybe not millions. That might be a stretch, but quite a bit. And this is like my scrappy little setup for now until I get to that next step. So
you have got to start somewhere, but the most important thing is you've got to start.
That's it. You got to start, and that's like the perfect way to, I think, wrap this thing up. But before we do that, is there any like main message you would want to leave the listeners with? Something that you would have liked to know if you were in your situation or anything like that?
Yeah. Yes. Just try it. At the very least, try it. The most expensive piece is going to be the tools and materials, but it is never going to be as expensive as paying someone else to do it, which I'm all for. But if you just try it, you come away with so much more knowledge than you had before, which will allow you to repeat the project, repeat the fix, the repair, the maintenance, or teach someone else how to do it. Which has been my best feel good message out of all this, because I'm offering up, I get offered up from my wife to our whole family. Our whole family knows, like, hey, my garage door broke, Dylan, can you come help? It's like, yeah, but I've never done it before. I'm going to try it. So don't hold it against me. So just try it. Like Nike, but just try it.
Just try it. I love that. That's perfect. And Nike's just do it.
Yeah.
Well, you got to try before you do. So
yeah, exactly. I know Yoda would be a little backwards at this one. There is no try, only do. But
he's a smart guy, and you heard it here first. Hammer Brilliance.
Yes.
Just try it.
Try it.
Better than Nike.
TM.
Awesome, man. Well, I appreciate you being here and just chatting and sharing your experiences and all that. I like to leave listeners with a weekly quote, and you sent me yours. Do you have it up?
Yeah.
All yeah. Right. You want to just read that off and then maybe share why it's so significant to you a little bit?
Yes. So weekly quote for podcast number 9 is going to be "C'est la vie," which loosely translates to "so what." I actually, I don't even remember what it translates to exactly, but it's been my wife and I's big old motto for the last few years is it translates to "such is life." So we call it "so what," and that's huge in DIY. If you're measuring something to cut and you measure wrong, and you end up cutting it, but you can't uncut something, so that's life. Can't be too upset about it. Get over it and try again. Yeah. So "C'est la vie" can embody everything in life. You get into a car accident. Well, you can't unget into a car accident. So
good point.
Just minimize, move on, adapt.
Awesome,
yeah.
Thanks for sharing all that. And where can listeners follow you or follow along with the brand as you start getting more stuff down? Or better start some social accounts.
Yeah, I know. It'll probably pop up on LinkedIn and Instagram. Hopefully here in the next couple months, once we get a more of a roadmap.
Well, right on, man. I will definitely promote the brand on my own page. So if you follow me on Instagram or anything like that, you'll see some updates on Dylan. But again, man, thanks for being here. This has been a lot of fun, and appreciate your time.
Thanks, Brett. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll do it again soon.
Oh, I can't wait.
Right on, man.